What's up, guys? Theo here, doing a quick prediction for Sedriques Dumas versus Nursulton Ruziboev. Right now, Nursulton Ruziboev is a minus 305 favorite. The comeback on Sedriques Dumas is plus 215 on DraftKings. And guys, I kind of like Sedriques Dumas here. This is an extremely interesting matchup, and it's going to be a bit of a flyer of a pick for me because this is a very dangerous fight for Sedriques Dumas. He's a guy who seemed very promising. His regional tape was extremely impressive. He seemed to have crazy knockout power, and he had knocked out many guys very quickly with some crazy kicks and punches. So I was really excited to see him go into the UFC initially. And yeah, I ended up betting on him and losing. I forget who it was that he lost to initially. He might have come through Dana White Condensed Series, but I can't quite remember. But he just hasn't had the best results so far with high-level competition. And we have a guy in Nursulton here who, this dude just comes off like a total assassin. You watch his regional tape, he's destroying competition. Like, seriously, I mean, the guy's 6'5", he's a middleweight, and he seems to have crazy power and just, like, snipe dudes from way far out, knock them out. Submissions, knockouts. I mean, the guy just seems very, very dangerous. And then he did come into the UFC, and he had that fight against Bruno Ferreira, who, you know, I was high on. I bet on Bruno Ferreira in that fight. And, you know, I knew Bruno Ferreira was good, and that's why I kept betting on him after that loss. But, man, that was a devastating knockout that Nursulton landed on him. So, you know, I talk about the it factor a lot. I name my channel after that. It's kind of the thing that you see where you see someone that kind of has something special. And you get a little bit of that with Nursulton Ruziboev. He does seem to have a little bit of that, like, thing. And, you know, so does Sedriques. I kind of thought that same thing about Sedriques Dumas when I first became aware of him. I was like, this guy kind of has something right here. Seems like he might have a lot of natural talent. And like I said, Sedriques has been disappointing in the UFC so far, and Nursulton has looked amazing pretty much so far, apart from the 10 professional losses that he already has, which is a lot, but he has 40 fights. That being said, the thing that's kind of making me lean towards Sedriques here is that when you go back and you look at Nursulton's record, I went back and I watched the last time he lost a fight because he's on a big streak right now and he's looking amazing. And what I saw was a very interesting fight. He fought on in Pro FC, some Russian organization, which actually had a really good production, and I enjoyed the show. And he fought some guy named Boris something or another, some Russian name. It was an incredible fight, one of the better fights I've seen outside of the UFC, to be honest. And basically, what we saw was that in order to beat Nursulton, you really need to be a great nail, and you need to be a good hammer, and you need to be able to kind of out-bully him, right? And I think Sedriques might have the style to do something like that, because what we see from Sedriques is, yes, he's not very technically refined. He makes a lot of mistakes. His fight IQ doesn't seem to be able to keep up with his body. He kind of reacts and does things, and he always has good answers, but his problem is that he's not making the best decisions, and he's just not able to really string everything together in a really cohesive way. That being said, we are seeing Sedriques Dumas improve from fight to fight. He came in, he's lost, he comes back, he wins, kind of in a sloppy fashion sometimes, but, you know, we saw him go from being a striker, someone who's desperately trying to knock people out with insane power, to basically out-wrestling and controlling, what is the guy's name? Cody Brundage, who's about to fight Bo Nickel on the mat. And Cody Brundage is a good wrestler. And I'm not saying that Sedriques really is. I really don't think Sedriques is the best wrestler or best grappler. I think it's where he's not as sufficient. But he has obviously been working a lot on his wrestling, and he was able to basically just out-physically control Cody Brundage on the mat in a similar way to what we saw happen in Nursulton Ruziboev's last loss. Right? He encountered a dude who he couldn't immediately knock out, could not immediately submit, couldn't immediately overpower with range and movement and speed. And the guy was slippery on the ground, managed to get out of submissions, which Sedriques Dumas is. He's very slippery on the ground. He's kind of falls ill to like submissions. Like, he got submitted by Josh Frem in a very sloppy way. But I mean, since then he is quite, live to kind of get out from under people, get up. He's hard to get your hands on, and he's got a lot of power and a lot of good movement, and he manages to survive, man. I mean, he gets hit a lot, but the thing is, he's got a good chin. Only time I saw him got rocked was, I forget, it might have been Brundage, I forget exactly, it might have been Frem. Someone hit him really hard right behind the ear, and I saw him stumble off that, but the guy just seems to have such raw ability and such good cardio. He seems very calm when he's in there. And I just think there's a chance that we are still overestimating what Nursulton has done so far. And keep in mind, this is a guy with 10 professional losses. This would not be the first time he's lost. He's not some undefeated dude, even though the way he fights, he looks undefeated. You'd think he was if you just saw his highlights, but he's not. I mean, he's been beaten by decision several times. And I could just see an outcome here where either Sedriques is able to just kind of get away from him and neutralize what he's able to do and maybe survive. And I've just got this mental image playing out of Sedriques catching him with something on the feet. I mean, Sedriques is still, even though he's not really been knocking dudes out with one hit in a while, he's still very explosive, man. And he's got incredibly quick combos that come out of almost nowhere, lightning fast. So I've just got this mental image for some reason playing over and over of Nursulton ducking off and moving back, and Sedriques just winging him with something as he is circling away. I don't know why, but I just keep seeing that in my head when I try to visualize this fight. So like I said, this is going to be a bit of an out there pick. I don't think many people are going to be on Sedriques Dumas. I will be overjoyed if I hear some other sharp people on him. But I'm going to have to probably take him here at I think he's plus 210 or plus 215 on DraftKings right now. I'm probably going to make a very small bet on him, maybe 0.25 units, depending on what I hear throughout the week, if I like it. If I hear some really sharp people making some really good arguments, otherwise I might stay away because Nursulton is very dangerous, but something in my balls is just telling me that Sedriques Dumas is going to find a way to win this guy. So give me Sedriques Dumas at plus 210. Keep it locked in, guys. More picks coming later this week.